boxing gym, you're going to the nadi, or you're gonna go to a sports center or something that they might relate to abroad as like a country club, where you get to see all the sports in one place. And each sport has its own designated area. Each sport has its own equipment, its own coaches. And so when you go into a sports center or a nadi in wherever it was, in Egypt or in Saudi Arabia, because I was raised between both, you would find every single sport had its designated area, coaches, equipment, except boxing. Boxing was always on the running track.
Yeah.
So it was always on the running track. They didn't have the basketball courts for basketball. They had the tennis courts for tennis and the pools for the swimming pools. But boxing had no bags, no ring, just a coach on the running track standing with his mitts. And so I used to play tennis before boxing. And we used to warm up for tennis on the running track. And it's just every single time we'd go warm up for tennis, I got to see the boxing people, got to hear the intensity.
And then you got a little curious then, right?
Exactly. I got very curious, and then the coach, their coach, like the boxing coach, noticed that I was zoning out all the time. So he came and spoke to me. He's like, "So why don't you like try it out?" So I spoke to my parents, and they said no, akid. We're 9 siblings, and they didn't want
9 siblings.
Yeah, we're 9 siblings, and they didn't want one of us to go, hitting all the other 8, fam.
Damn.
So but that's where it started. But what really got me sticking to it was like the value that I found in it. The value that I found in it, and being, like Yusuf said, being the first. So I'm the first ever Saudi Arabian professional boxer. So it's like and I'm the first local Arab international professional boxer. So it's like when you find that out, when you try to Google it, when I was trying to Google it when I was younger and I'd find nobody, then I was like, I want to do that. I want to be the one that gets to do that. And that's what got me sticking to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, after that, obviously you really, that became the dream, right? To be the first ever, to be the pioneer of being like Arab boxing. So obviously that took a lot of work. So talk to me about your struggles. Like, how hard was it? Or what did it take for you to be where you are now?
I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
صراحة, I don't know where to start. But the struggles...
I mean, obviously you had the struggles with the nawadi, with the clubs, and you didn't have the equipment. But you also had school.
Yeah.
You also had 9 siblings. You also had your parents completely against the idea of boxing. Let's start with that. How did you deal with your parents talking to, or like, how did you convince them to get into boxing?
So it wasn't that my parents were against it. Once they saw that I actually want it, and it's not like a short-term, thing that I really want to do, then they were completely supportive and they were completely with me. But
were you like rebelling with them in the beginning first?
With my dad, not with my mom. My mom actually got me to do it for a whole year without my dad knowing, behind my dad's back. Yeah, but it was more about just knowing how to, or like the how you want to introduce it to the audience you're about to introduce it to. And when I say that, I mean I need to see how my dad is how I'm going to approach my dad with it.
How did your dad see it in the beginning for you entering boxing?
He thought it was just a hobby. Yeah, he
Don't
thought
they
it was
all?
just exactly. He thought it was just gonna be a hobby, and then he saw that no, it's actually turning into something very big and something very serious. But again, it was just about approaching him with the angle that he'll understand, and then approaching my mom with the angle that she's gonna understand. And then when you're even speaking to people that have nothing to do with the sport or have nothing to do with sports in general, how are you going to introduce what you're doing, and how are you going to convince them of it in an angle that they would understand? So if my dad is only gonna understand the business aspect of it, the ROI in it, so then I start speaking to him from a business perspective, from an angle perspective. It's like, okay, if you market my career in a specific way, look how much fighters make, look at the money they make from the fights, look at the investments they make. So then when I introduce the idea of becoming a professional boxer to my dad through a business perspective, then he gets to understand it better. And then my mom understood it because she's very passionate about sports and in general, and she wanted to see me do this and do that. So it was a lot easier to do it. So I always just say it's like, because I always get this question, especially in the DMs, oh, my parents aren't convinced of what I'm doing and I'm trying to explain it to them, but they're not understanding. It's like, how are you trying to explain it? If you're trying to explain it to them in a way they don't understand and they are not going to understand, then they won't understand. فاهم قصدي? So it's like, you have to explain it to them in a way they will at least be close to understanding it from a perspective they're used to understanding. If you introduce a whole new idea, people fear what they don't understand. So
100%.
It's like they're just gonna fear it no matter what you do. And their kid isn't gonna come and convince them of something that they're already convinced of.
Well, that's a very mature answer for someone who was young going through that. How did you figure it out? Or was it like a process? It took a really, really hard time.
I think it's
just... Did anyone help you? Like did anyone help you reach to that conclusion to like, no, you gotta talk to them in a certain way?
So my parents really wasn't a problem in my career at all.
Okay.
It's just like...
It was just the start.
Yeah, it was just the start, but like by start I really mean like a few months. You know, it wasn't, my parents weren't an issue in this whole career at all. It's you know, it's like what they always say, that I had much bigger fish to fry with this career going into what I was going to face, and just little did I know this was all I was going to face. But my parents played a very small role in like a hurdle I had to jump, because it's the hurdles after that were insane.
Well, since you were like the first Saudi Arabian boxer to start training and all that, and there weren't any gyms, how were you able to, you know, fight with practice matches with who were you? How did you challenge yourself to reach this good?
Well, it's the lack of opportunity and the lack of equipment or the lack of knowledge that I was, you know, brought up around before I moved abroad I moved abroad at 19. I'm 23 now, but I had to move abroad so I would be able to jump to that next level. Then now it's completely different, especially with what Saudi Arabia is doing and what the Arab world is starting to do. We see it in Abu Dhabi as well. Especially with what the region is doing now, fighters no longer have to move abroad. But it was something for me where I had to move abroad because there wasn't enough equipment, there wasn't enough this and that. But having spent 10 years here before I moved abroad, you have to make the most of what you have. You know.
Was there like equipment and boxing tournaments or fighting in general here in Egypt when you were around?
So it depends. Well, there was, but there wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was like at a very basic level.
Yeah. No, below basic.
Was it like boxing for weight loss kind of thing?
No. You had the tournaments, you had everything, but you had 3 tournaments a year. When abroad they have fights every weekend. Yeah. So to just put it in perspective, so it's like abroad the sport is in its culture. You know, it's like the sport is embedded in the culture, and then here the sport had no future because the region has never seen a future from the sport.
It's usually koro bas.
Exactly, because they've seen a future.
No, it's not koro bas. There's actually like squash squash
as well.
Now they're starting to...
No, forever. In squash we were always the number one, but it just because squash is actually a perfect example. We won early, we took first place early on. So that they saw that we're able to actually win. So then they started investing, and then there is money being made out of squash from Egypt. There's events in Gona, so they're able to make money from the sport here. And someone proved it. And this is something like it's a mindset thing. It's like when someone from the country, and this is what Zizo is on his route to do for the whole Middle East and for the whole region. When you see that someone from your own country that lives in the same place became a world champion, the dream gets closer. Yeah. But imagine there's no champion. We don't have any Saudi, Egyptian, Moroccan boxing champion. Yeah. So me as a kid, there's no role model, right? Who am I gonna look up to? Why would I even chase that dream if people that are a lot stronger than me and I see people training never reached it? There's no role model. So this is what's really important, and this is why this is what
You had to make your own standards.
exactly, and this is his biggest challenge. It's not the parents, it's not any of this. The parent is the pressure is on him to become champion, and people are waiting for him to fail. It's like, no, he's not going to become a champion from the Arab world, so he has to fight that.
Which reminds me, like, how do you deal with the haters?
I mean, look, well, it's very important to just say two things. One, I have a very good mental performance coach.
Okay.
He's actually Egyptian. His name is Haitham Ghaita. And this guy has been key to my career. Like an absolute, like the most important part of my career.
Can you share some tips?
Yeah. So this is the two things that really helped was my mental performance coach, and I majored in psychology. So it's like both really just I understand. Yeah, I understood that what I was going to face most were struggles mentally. So then just dealing with like Yusuf said in the beginning, the fights that I've had, and we haven't seen any up and coming professional boxer have that happen to before, where every single fight he's on is on the big cards, it's on the pay-per-views, it's on where there are millions watching and then thousands in attendance. So your learning fights, your development stage is under a lot of eyes, and so your mistakes are seen by so many people. But then people expect, because you're fighting on those stages, you're already perfect, when it's not the case. It's called the development stage for a reason. So what happens is, when I used to make small mistakes, the other fighters before me who are now champions, when they made those small mistakes early on in their career, they fought on stages where nobody saw them on TV. There weren't more than 2,000 people in attendance at those fights, so not a lot of people were talking about them.
And also who?
Exactly,
who is,
and who?
Like,
Exactly,
who really?
Who's
Like, even in
yeah.
the who is really watching?
Yeah, who is really watching? With my career since fight one, the who is so big. Everybody's watching, and so many people are watching. So the small mistakes are stuff that, like Yusuf said, the people who are waiting for me to fail were things they used to grab onto. So this fight is
no matter
a joke.
how small it is, they just seem to be like, لا انت عملت كده
yeah, exactly. But what my mental performance coach told me was, you have to approach the world and everyone in it as everything they do is a job, and everyone in this world, with everything they do, that's their job. So
nothing personal, bro.
Yeah, I swear,
Nothing personal, it's just business.
It's just business. He told me, but he actually told me, as you are doing your job, they are doing theirs. So
100%.
my job is to fight.
I love it.
My job is to train. My job is to fight. My job is to win. Their job is to talk about it. And then there are other people who their job is to hate on it. There are other people who their job is to talk positively about it.
And to support you.
Yeah, exactly. But they're all jobs. If you don't do your job, they're not going to do theirs. And if they don't do their job, you're not going to be able to continue doing yours. So everyone, you need all of it. You need the naysayers. You need the haters. You need the people who are going to talk positively. And then you're going to need the job you're going to do as well. So you need all of it. So as soon as you approach everyone and what they do in this life, especially if you don't know them and they're talking about you as it's just their job because you're doing yours, then it becomes so much easier to overcome. And then especially with critics, you have to take the criticism from the critics who deserve to give you the criticism. So it's like, if there's a big TV analyst or if there's a big pundit, if they're, saying some pointers about the way I fight, I have to take those pointers. They've been there, they've done that, they've seen all of the fighters. Even if I don't like it, even if I'm not convinced of it, I don't know as much as they do. I'm not gonna know more than they do because they're more experienced in the sport. They're analysts and pundits for a reason. So then I take those small pointers and I say to myself, okay, they're doing their job. Now I have to do my job and improving in the areas that they are telling me to improve in. Because if I shut it out completely and I say, they don't know what I'm trying to do, or I know more than they do, my coach isn't telling me this, I'm never going to get anywhere. And it's going to be a constant battle of they are saying and I'm trying to do, they are saying and I'm saying against them. Well, now when I see with my career, fight 1, fight 2, they just love, what they're loving most is the improvement. And they're loving the improvement most because it's improvement based on what they're trying to see.
Sick.
Because I'm always listening to what they're trying to see. But
So it's like you're giving them what they want.
Exactly. No. I'm not giving them what they want. I'm taking from what they're telling me to do because they deserve to tell me what they do. They deserve to tell me what to do.
Constructive criticism.
Exactly. But from the people who deserve to give it to you. But the average fan who is sitting on those seats, who hasn't trained a day in their life, I'm not going to take criticism from them. You know, or I'm not going to take...
Use your left hook, bro.
Exactly. I'm not going to take...
Bro,
I'm not going to take... And then sometimes you go on Twitter and they're like, oh, he's a clown, he's a joke.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing it. If an analyst or a pundit would ever say he's a clown, he's a joke, that's another conversation. But if someone is sitting at home on their couch saying he's a clown, he's a joke.
And 99% of people are clowns.
Exactly.
They're clowns in their opinions because they don't understand. They don't understand. And I don't understand. Like, I understand at a very small level. But, like, I understand because I've been in the ring in fights. And the pressure that you have, and you don't feel your legs after the first 30 seconds, which is for me. And then you have to like think about your game plan. It's like there's so much going on, and then your family's watching, and then مش عارف ايه. It's like, don't come and tell this guy, it's like, yo, bro, don't drop your hands. Like, shut up, man. What do you know about dropping your hands?
You have so many people that you need to prove yourself to as well, like when you're in that ring or in the court. Because I mean, I'm trying to translate this in a volleyball perspective because, I don't really know much about fights except Manny Pacquiao, which is like a beacon. Yeah.
Everybody
What do you think of him, by the way?
I mean, he did exactly what I want to do. What he was for the Philippines is what I want to do for Saudi Arabia. Yeah. It's what I want to do for Saudi Arabia. It's what
Filipino?
I want to do.
Yeah.
Nice, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's
Okay,
crazy.
that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, but I'm not a boxer though, clearly.
Yeah, but no, exactly what and I always say it in interviews though, what Pacquiao was for the Philippines is what I want to be for Saudi, what I want to be for the Arab world. That's the ultimate goal at the end. It's because
it's meant to be. I'm meant to be in this podcast. Yeah.
Exactly, but he was something else. He's the guy that got me moving to LA. I went to LA when I decided I want to move abroad.
He trained with his coach.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I want to move to LA. Where does Pacquiao train? Who does he train with? I applied to all universities there. I'm like, I'm going where Manny Pacquiao is.
Yep.
And
My
I
heart
did
is
that.
happy.
Yeah. And I did exactly that. But yeah, Pacquiao is the one. So it's again, circling back, it's all about dealing with those people. But you said something though. You said you have so many people to prove something to, and
the important people.
Yeah,
like your
yeah,
coach,
yeah.
your parents.
Yeah, not if you stay,
Technically,
not if you stay in the present. Not if you stay in the present.
So is that an advice you would tell athletes to like those who are like?
Yeah, it's easier said than done.
Not every athlete has a coach, especially in this country.
Yeah. But it's easier said than done. But if you stay in the present, you have nothing to prove to anyone. That's the thing. So if you stay in the present, you don't prove anything to anyone but to yourself, and you take it day by day. But once you start worrying about who you want to prove something to, then you start either worrying about the past or worrying about the future, because it's always the future or the past that you're trying to prove something to. Yeah. You never try to prove something to yourself in the present, you know. So it's just that part of the process.
How did you handle, losses? Because obviously you lost a lot in the beginning in order to get to where you are now.
He's 5-0.
Like, huh?
Fights?
No, I'm not talking from the professional level. I'm talking like
Okay.
من الأول خالص, like since you're 11.
Yeah, that's true.
Like he wasn't born.
He was like humbly.
No, I mean, like you said that there's like struggles with the equipment, the gyms, getting players to fight you, getting into the whole thing. So like that's a struggle. That is a struggle. So what would you do when you were like hit with a setback?
But it was more of a mental struggle.
Yeah.
None of these are physical struggles. It's all just.
I mean, mental is a huge part.
It's the mental struggles, the mental struggles, and the mental success and the mental failures is a lot harder to manage than the physical ones.
It is.
You know, so
it
it's
because with the physical ones, they're structured. Like if you follow a certain program,
exactly,
you're kind of guaranteed that you'll reach a certain way. You
Exactly.
may not look exactly how you expect, but like you get somewhere.
Exactly.
You will end up, if you follow a program, you will end up carrying 100 kgs.
Yeah, if you could guarantee that every single person who would follow the program is going to stick to it 100%, they are going to get the same results as everyone else. If you can guarantee that, but the only way to guarantee that is to,
it's to condition your mind.
Yeah, it's to condition your mind. So that's the only reason we can't guarantee that anyone is going to stick to anything 100%. Because if they do, we'd all get the same results. But it's just mentally, some of us have the capability to do it, and then some of us don't. But the mental struggles that I faced early on in my career is just the lack of opportunities or equipment and this and that. It was kind of the best thing that ever happened to me, because it gave me that no excuse attitude. And when I went abroad and I saw that much equipment, that much this and that. So if my coach, we travel a lot, so we're always just going around the globe. And if we go to one gym that's completely lacking in equipment, I could make do with what I have because I've been there. While other fighters can't even risk traveling. They don't want to even travel. To them, it's too much.
It's risky.
Yeah, it's risky, or they're scared to do it. When, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I have to make the most of what I have. So with whatever I have, I'll make the most of it.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's good.
What about with you, with your journey in like amateur sports?
I think we should just focus on Ziad.
No, why not? It's nice to have it to
I think we should just focus.
Your journey is a lot more relatable, I'll tell you that. So.
It's not about being relatable, it's nice to see the similarities in both.
Exactly.
Like the struggle is the same. Because I do relate to a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah.
But in a completely different perspective, but the struggles are still there. And I play volleyball. There's no contact in our sport. But I got knocked out, I got knocked down so many times during my sport. Oh God.
Yeah.
Like there were days where I would go crazy. I would think I was insane. I never had a mental coach, so I always had to rely on myself and learn things the hard way. So I always wish that there was that mental coach here that's just easily accessible.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a therapist, but it could even be my coach. I just wish he understood us athletes, because instead of just teaching us a generic way, because he teaches all of us, or he gives us training programs, everyone is doing the same thing. For me, it doesn't take any effect. I feel like I didn't train at the end of the day, but some of my friends, they're panting, dying, so and some of them, when they lose, they don't feel anything. But for me, when I lose a certain match, it's خلاص احنا برا. We're not coming back in. It's the end of the world. This is my last season. I'm gonna die.
Yeah. See, that's why it's very important to just make it very clear that it's okay to, I don't like to say seek help. I don't like that word. I just say seek knowledge. It's okay to seek knowledge when you feel like you want to seek that knowledge. So it's okay to talk to, you said it doesn't have to be a therapist. I think it's okay if it's a therapist. It's okay if it's a psychiatrist. It's okay if it's a mental coach, a life coach, whatever it is, it's okay and do not wait for something to go wrong before you go to those people. Because once you wait for something to go wrong, then you seek the help. But if you do it before it goes wrong, then you're just seeking the knowledge. And so the more knowledge you have about how your mind operates in specific situations, they are equipped to give you those solutions. So that's why I always say nobody teaches us, or we don't teach ourselves how to run. We don't teach ourselves how to walk. We don't teach ourselves how to eat, drink. Somebody guides us through it when we are younger. If it's your parents, your grandparents, whoever you were raised with, they teach you from when you are younger. So why is it when it comes to dealing with our mental health, we're expected to naturally know it?
That's the
we're
stigma.
Expected to, exactly,
That's
it's a stigma.
for
it's
an
a
athlete.
stigma. And anyone, we're expected to naturally know it, like it's blessed upon us. And if we get it wrong, we're blamed on it. So, and if we go seek knowledge, or if we go seek help from someone, then they call us crazy, or they say there's something wrong with you, or actually just go exercise. It's gonna solve everything. We've heard it. We've heard it, especially on our side of the world. We've heard it so many times, And that's why I say, so if we didn't teach ourselves all this stuff, we aren't supposed to be expected to teach ourselves the mental health aspect of it. So I believe that when you reach a specific age or when you reach a specific stage in your life, talk to a mental coach, talk to a life coach, talk to a therapist, talk to a psychiatrist, whoever you feel like you need the help from or the knowledge from, because the knowledge they give you is confidence. And the more confident in yourself mentally, the easier it will be to deal with it. They tell you why you're going to go through specific emotions, how you might go through it, what to do when you go through it, and even if you don't go through it, why aren't you going through it, and how to prepare yourself if you might or might not go through it. So they just give you knowledge about everything. They equip you with all the tools you need that you might use if you go through it and if you don't go through it. And if you don't go through it, if you see someone else go through it, then you're able to help them as well.
Yeah.
So the mental health aspect in life in general is very important to me. And that's why when you said it doesn't have to be a therapist, I was like, but it's okay if it's a therapist. You have to change it to that type of language, you know?
I mean, yeah, but like, you know, here in Egypt,
Exactly,
the culture,
exactly,
when someone
exactly.
says, oh, I'm going to a therapist, oh, Abbasaya.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
So that's a whole nother stigma.
it's changing though. It's changing, and it's changing in a big way.
Big time.
You know, talking about health and well-being is changing in a big way in our region, and
that's why Zizo talks about the language on how we speak about it is really, really important.
it's very important.
So especially you, if you're going to start doing a lot more podcasts and everything,
Yeah.
it's very important the linguistics on how you're saying and the know of it on how you speak to yourself and how you hear yourself speak is very important.
Yeah, and be that person. Like be that, you know, as crazy it might sound, be that hero, you know?
Yeah.
Be that person who's gonna go out on that podcast and say, speak to a therapist, speak to a life coach. Be
Like,
that
it shouldn't
person
be
who's
scary.
gonna go
Shouldn't be a
exactly.
therapy. No, it should be عادي.
Yeah.
know, it
Because
shouldn't
it's
be
like
scary.
so.
It's
Imagine
time to normalize this.
Yes,
exactly,
exactly,
and
exactly.
it's time to normalize this, and then imagine how many people are going to be listening to your podcast, waiting for you to say something like that.
100%.
How many people are waiting for you to say it so they could take that clip and go to their parents and be like, look, it's not just me. You know what I mean? Sometimes if it's just them talking to their parents or their family, they don't directly understand. But then if you do it, or if I do it, or if Yusuf does it, it changes the scope completely, you know, to them especially.
If you were to go back in time knowing you'd be where you are now, and I think you kind of did because you did have that dream, what would you tell yourself to like motivate you, or what would you change basically?
To just know that time is my ally. Time is always your ally, you know, and it's just stay in the present. It's always when you feel like you don't have time, you have so much time. It's just you always, when you feel like that, it's because you're looking forward to the time that you don't own yet. And I've spoken about something on one of my podcast episodes, and I said
The inner guidebook.
and I said that I talked about something that I call the time traveler theory. And I said if you're in a situation and you feel like you have to time travel to control it, or you have to time travel to change it, then you have nothing to do with it. So if you're in a situation and you feel like I have to time travel to be sure of it, or time travel to change it, then you can't control it. You can only control anything you don't have to time travel to do. We can't time travel yet, right? So if you stay in the present, the only thing you can control is the present. Try to control or change tomorrow, or be sure of something you did in the past. That's not going to take you anywhere.
Love it.
So what about you and why did you stop sports Aslan?
I didn't like competing.
No, competing for Gumhuriya and for
'cause
medals, for like
it
belts.
was why did I start? Because I was never brought up that I wanted to be a champion, or I wanted to do this at a high level. I didn't have the right guidance. You know, I think it's guidance, and I didn't think it was possible. Like, it's a lot of different things. Just life wasn't there, you know. Like, it was just we're just trying to survive, you know, moving from country to country, divorce of my parents, you know, trying to take care of my mom, you know, school, and then try to make money, try to pay the rent, and then try to make something happen, you know. So it was just not in my way, and I try to be influential with what I have and what I do right now, just like Zizo's trying to be influential. And I think that's the beauty, and that's the end of it, is just, you know, try to spread positivity with whatever you have. And I think sports is what keeps me sane and what keeps me going in general. Like I spend most of my time or my effort or my brain power is in what am I going to work out, what am I going to eat. And funny enough, when I'm really on my training and I'm really healthy, I make more money. So the more I work on myself and the more I challenge myself, because all these are habits and it's mindsets, you know. So when I follow my diet, or when I'm here at 4 p.m. to train, and then I have another workout at 10 p.m., you know, and so on, or I have to do my 15K runs or whatever, it's just the fact that I tell myself I'm going to do this and I do it. That for me is very, 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 very important. And that's why anybody should do it. And I feel anybody that has a background in sport, especially if you're young, you played university and everything, you find that they have a lot more chances to be successful in life. So you see a lot of successful entrepreneurs that actually come from a background of sports, because they know the competitiveness. They know that failing is okay. Like Zizo fails in training probably every day. You know, he's not able to finish his sets, or he's not able to do. And this is what you want in life, and this is what you want to learn. And this is what really entrepreneurship is. We lose every single day we lose. You know what I mean? And we get better. But when the opportunity comes, we need to be ready to take it. Just like when Zizo goes on the ring, he needs to take the opportunity and seek the moment. And every fight is better. Same thing in business. We're trying to get better every day on our social media. We just did a video, like our social media, everything we're trying to do is not we're trying to say, yo, we're millionaires, we're balling, we have cars and all that. No, we're saying we're here, we're putting in the work, and we're getting better every single day. And that's the whole point. And we're going to keep moving. And one of the podcasts, this is what shukr is. You know, shukr to God is basically that you keep moving. And this is what Abdullah Salam said on the podcast. So this is the way to thank God, is to just keep doing and keep working and keep improving. Even if you fail, that's a test from God, right? God knows you're going to fail. So yeah, so that's how I could relate with what Zizo said.
Yeah, just keep pushing.
Yes.
And okay, my last question is, what advice would you give to other athletes that are in the competitive sports world, amateur or pro, and they really want to reach that high level in sport, and at the same time they're mentally struggling in their journey? Like, what advice would you give them?
So they're already mentally struggling in their journey?
I mean, yeah. Like, it's not just mentally, there's a lot. They're struggling with everything, like physically, mentally, emotionally. There's stigmas everywhere, there's pressure, burnouts as well.
Just to again, seek the knowledge.
Yeah.
Seek the knowledge, and if that comes from seeking help, then you have to seek that help. You have to go speak to the people who have went through 8 years of university or 4 years of university to teach you, and to have that PhD in being a doctor to teach you about your mind. You don't know more than they do, right?
100%.
And you're not, you know, there is a whole degree and a master's and a PhD to it for a reason, because it's so hard to control.
And I want to add something, Zizo, that's really, really important also when you seek the knowledge. When you're seeking and you're looking, you could find mentors online. It's not because this guy is very, very good that it has to be this guy that you're going to connect with and his strategies are going to work. They work for some people. For example, Zizo saw multiple mental coach before he find this coach. He saw psychologists, he saw mental coaches for sports, people outside that work with the top athletes in the world that are paid, that don't even take athletes. And he was, you know, and then he was okay and he was good with someone from Egypt that is not international, that is not, which is kind of like, it's kind of the opposite. Like if we're going to go and we're going to see where Zizo's going, we're going to look for the top people in the States or in the worldwide. But he connected and he really found his peace with someone from Egypt, a local person from Egypt, you know, and he really, really, really helped him. So it's crazy because on paper, this guy is not going to work.
On paper, exactly. Because the people I was working with abroad, he worked with the top NBA athletes, worked with the top baseball athletes, and I work with the mental coaches. I was like, that's perfect. but are you relatable? So he wasn't relatable. So when I would tell him, he would tell me, so why are you doing all of this? And I told him, you know, a big part of it is I'm doing it for my mom. He didn't understand that part because it's not the same idea in the Western world when you talk about your parents, your family. It's not the
Religion,
same part
God.
of the culture, you know. So, or sometimes when you even talk about faith and God, they don't, some people aren't gonna have that same ideas. So then I had to circle back, and if I'm going to really open up mentally to someone, it's going to have to be someone that I can relate to and they can relate to me.
100%.
So then when I had to go back and find somebody from the Arab world, and I was looking here, I was looking in Saudi Arabia, and I found Haitham Ghaita here in Egypt. And at that time, you're talking about 5 years ago, mental performance in sports wasn't even heard of in this part of the region at all. On this side of the world, no one knew that. So when I found him, I was like, no way, it's impossible. So I got on a call with him, and he's actually a mental performance coach. He's actually a sports psychologist. I was like, this is it. So I speak to him, and then when I talk to him about my parents or my religion or my faith and stuff like that, then he understands. And
love it.
The more he understands about this, exactly. You know the book The Secret. It talks about talks about the law of attraction and manifestation. And so if you read the book, you know, if anyone else reads the book, they're just gonna go strictly with the philosophy of law of attraction and manifestation. But then when I read it, and you know, I would think I'm a religious person, and then I have my faith as well. So then I tie the law of attraction, manifestation, and then you tie it with something that you could relate to 100%. With religion and God and faith, and then it becomes something you understand.
And all the bases in the religion.
Exactly.
Everything. Manifesting is in our religion.
Yeah, everything is in our religion. Law of attraction is in our religion. Manifestation is in our religion. I love the people who, when I go out and I speak about law of attraction, manifestation, they go like, oh, look at the modern people speaking about law of attraction, manifestation, shirk, how can you not, with a Muslim, and you're not supposed to be speaking about that, when then you could bring up, you know, verses in any of our religions, you know, in any of the 3 books that talk about law of attraction, manifestation, and how it all links together, you know, like one, al-amal bin-niyat.
100%.
That in itself is law of attraction and manifestation, you know, that verse in itself.
Shukran.
You know, so it's like, sometimes you just silence people with that verse, and thank
100%. I love it.
Well, I guess that's all I have for today.
Amazing.
Well, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you guys soon. And thank you all for watching or hearing wherever you guys are now. Any final remarks?
Thank you. It was amazing. You're really good at this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is my first time, by the way.
You're amazing, amazing interviewer, Bagad. You're amazing.
Actually?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's only gonna get better from here.
Very, very good. Bravo عليك بجد. ما شاء الله.
Thank you guys.
Yo, keep killing it, Samantha. Thank you.